Precious, my little baby. I broke my foot and my ankle. I sprained my wrist and my shoulder, and I hit my head on a car without a helmet on. I don't think I got a concussion, but I did have a black eye for a few days, which actually made me feel kind of cool. Never had a black eye before. I'm stuck at the top of this 4th floor walk-up for the foreseeable future.
Oh boy.
You said your phone was broken, just forgot to charge it. Whole outfit you're wearing, God, I hope it's ironic. Did you just say you're finished? Didn't know we started. It's all just so familiar, baby. What do you call it? Stupid, or is it slow? Maybe it's useless, but there's a cuter word for it. I know.
Bike accident. It was a bike accident. It's crazy how a split second can change the course of your life. The moment I crashed my bike, I basically instantaneously lost both my jobs and became unemployed. That's the danger of working physical jobs. They're really fun, but they require my body, my physical body, to be strong and healthy all the time in order to continue making an income. I've been riding a bike in New York City since 2016 pretty regularly. It is my preferred mode of transportation by far. Not only is it the most efficient, it's also so fun. Riding down the bridge into Manhattan and seeing the whole skyline, it's like one of the most exhilarating things I've ever experienced. And I've done a lot of crazy shit in my life. Even with a broken body, I still fully recommend riding a bicycle around New York City as long as you're safe, wear your helmet. I feel like it was a matter of time for me to get into an accident just because I've been riding a bike in the city for so long. Like, if you're a runner and you run all the time, you've probably fallen or gotten an injury of some sort at some point. It's just bound to happen. I kind of always figured that was the case with biking because most people I know who bike a lot around the city have been in some kind of an accident of varying degrees. I'm just grateful that I wasn't hit by a car or doored. I've always been afraid of being doored, and that's the sort of thing that you kind of have no control over, but you can look out for it a little bit, but yeah, it's just a game of chance. Okay, so here's what happened. I was riding to work in Manhattan and I was running a little late, so I was riding really fast. By the way, I got a new job that I didn't tell you guys about because I haven't posted in a really long time, but basically the economy in America is bad. It's pretty bad. I could no longer pay my rent and pay my bills with freelance videography alone because the wedding industry has been impacted quite a bit by the economy. So I had to get another job, and I ended up getting a job working on sailboats again. I haven't even been on a sailboat since I lived in the Virgin Islands many years ago. I still have my Virgin Islands sailing video up if you guys want to go sort my videos by most popular, and I think it's like the 2nd or 3rd one. But I love sailing and was so excited by this opportunity, and it's like even cooler than I imagined. These are old wooden schooners that take people on 2-hour trips down the Hudson to see the Statue of Liberty. This summer was one of the best I've had in a very long time. I can make a whole video about that if you guys are interested. So yeah, I was running late to work, so I was riding really fast, and I'm honestly not even totally sure what happened. I think I hit something in the road and lost control, but I honestly can't remember. Maybe because I hit my head. All I know is I passed through an intersection and lost control and crashed. Luckily, I didn't crash into oncoming traffic because I could have died. I wasn't wearing a helmet. I'd been meaning to buy a new one for months and kept putting it off, which is very dumb. Very dumb. Wear a helmet all the time. Immediately after the accident, a couple of guys that were nearby came and helped get me and my bike out of the street, and I was in shock. I thought that I could just walk it off and get back on my bike and go to work, but I knew that I hit my head and that I probably wasn't thinking straight, so I decided to phone a friend. I called my ex, David, who is still one of my best friends. He's just one of the most logical people I know, and I just knew he would know what to do. And he basically was like, tell work you're not coming and go to urgent care immediately. And I was like, yeah, fine, okay, I guess that makes sense. But I was still like in deep denial that that had just happened. Unfortunately, I couldn't make up on my mind on what to do. I walked like 4 or 5 blocks in a circle, just kind of like delirious because I couldn't think straight, I guess. But eventually I gave in and I got in an Uber, put my bike in the Uber and went to an urgent care in my neighborhood. And thank God I did that, because on the way to urgent care, the pain really started to set in. My foot started swelling and I was just like, oh shit, I think I broke my foot. So when I got to urgent care, the nurse came in, took all my information and went and told the doctor. And the doctor came in and he was like this young, fit guy with tattoos all over, and he was shocked that I was the patient that he had just heard about, because he was like, you were in a bike accident? You don't look like you were in a bike accident. And I was like, thanks, but I think what he meant is that like I was in such a good mood, like I didn't have the aura of someone whose body had just been flung into a car. Meanwhile, I had a goose egg growing on my head and I had blood on my hand and like a very swollen foot now. Anyway, hot doctor checked everything out. He checked out my head and my wrist and my foot, and he told me he didn't think I had a concussion. He didn't think that I broke my wrist or my foot. Like, he thought that I was fine. And so that got my hopes up. I was like, thank God, I need to go back to work. But he was like, we need to do x-rays, like, just to be sure. So they x-rayed my wrist and my foot. When he came back in the room with the results from the x-rays, he was just like, well, yep, you broke your foot. And I just burst out laughing for some reason. Like, I just couldn't believe it. And I could not stop laughing. Like, he was giving me all of the information and wrapping my foot, and I was just laughing the entire time because I was shocked still, I think. I wonder if I really did have a concussion, because that doctor was wrong about like basically everything, so I guess it's possible. Also, this is really weird, but hitting my head, like, it felt kind of good. I don't know how to explain it. Immediately after the crash and like replaying it in my head, something about getting hit in the head was strangely like satisfying. I don't know. I don't understand it. It could have just been like the endorphins immediately after impact. I don't know. All I know is that I've had almost zero depression or anxiety ever since the accident. Like, despite breaking multiple bones, losing both my jobs, being stuck at home alone, having absolutely no income, and a number of other horrifying things in my personal life, I have been surprisingly like happy and grateful and chill. You know, back in the day of VCRs, when like if the tape or the machine started malfunctioning, if you hit the VCR once or twice, it would fix itself magically. Is that what just happened to my brain? After like a decade of severe depression and anxiety, am I just good now? Because so far, I feel pretty good. Maybe it's just a coincidence, I don't know. Okay, so a hot doctor told me that it was a Jones fracture and that they're really common apparently amongst dancers and that it was totally okay to walk on and to put pressure on like right away. And so he said that I would be able to go back to work in a couple days. And I was like, wait, what, are you, really? I work on a sailboat. Is that okay? That's when he was like, ooh, okay, maybe not. And so he suggested that I see a specialist immediately, and he wrote me a referral and then just sent me on my way without crutches or a boot or anything. And at that point, it was hurting a lot. So I was like, are you sure I could walk on it? Like, are you sure I don't need crutches? And he was like, yeah, you don't need them. I mean, unless you want them, but you don't need them. And so I was just like, okay. So I hobbled my ass home up 4 flights of stairs on a broken foot. And then a couple days later, I got in with a specialist. He did x-rays and he was like, yep, you have a Jones fracture. This is a very serious fracture. You absolutely cannot put pressure on it. You cannot walk on it because for some reason this part of the foot gets very low blood supply, so it's very slow to heal. So you have to stay off it. In fact, he said this fracture is usually so hard and slow to heal that he usually suggests surgery. And he said that he would send my x-rays off to a surgeon to get their opinion, and they did suggest surgery. He was also shocked to hear that urgent care didn't x-ray my ankle. So he went ahead and x-rayed just to be safe and was like, wow, yeah, you have a fractured ankle too. So yeah, he told me that I would have to be off of my feet completely for 6 weeks minimum, at the absolute busiest time of year for both of my jobs. Wedding videography and sailing are both obviously very physical jobs and both heavily revolve around the weather. And this time of year is the best weather in New York City. So I was scheduled to be working 6 days a week for basically all of September and October. And that sprint of work and income usually carries me into the winter when all of that work slows down. So now it has officially been 6 weeks. I went to the doctor this morning for a follow-up for x-rays and stuff, and he said it's healing really well. It's obviously not like back to normal, so I still have to stay in my boot for another 6 weeks, but I was just cleared to finally stop using crutches and start putting some pressure on my foot. Huge news, because walking with crutches is so hard and it hurts. I have bruises under my armpits and calluses on my hands, and I've lost so much muscle mass in my left leg, which is really strange to see. Bodies are so freaking weird. I had gotten pretty strong from biking and working on the boat this whole summer, so my right leg still looks like kind of strong, and my left leg is just like lost all of the muscle. It's kind of creepy. So yeah, I'm cleared to not use crutches anymore and start putting pressure on it, but I do have to stay in the boot for another 6 weeks, which obviously means I still can't go back to work my physical jobs. Like, there's no way I could work on the sailboat or shoot weddings with my foot in a boot. So that still puts me in a pretty tough position. I don't qualify for any social safety net type programs because of the type of work I do. I don't qualify for short-term disability because I'm a maritime worker. They aren't included. And I'm also not qualified for unemployment because I'm a freelance worker and I do like contract work. In doing my research on all of that, I learned how much the social safety nets like really suck anyway. Like, for short-term disability in New York, the maximum weekly payout is $170. $170 a week, which is $680 a month. Nobody can survive on that. Like, I couldn't have even survived on $680 a month like 15 years ago when I was sharing an apartment with 3 girls in a small town in Florida. And the reason why that number is still so low is pretty diabolical. The last increase to the weekly maximum in New York was in 1989. Over 35 years ago. Proposals to raise it have come up many times, but business groups have lobbied against it because employers fund part of the cost. Pretty disgusting. So at the moment, my only option is to figure out a way to make money from home. The week after my accident, one of my best friends gave me a wedding to edit. It was actually a wedding that I shot back in June. So that income saved me for the month of September, and it ended up being one of my favorite wedding videos I've ever made, so I'm so grateful for that. Thank you, Jenica. But now I'm unemployed again and have no income, so I'm back on YouTube. I currently only make somewhere between $60 and like $100 a month on YouTube, but that's because I haven't posted in forever and I obviously don't post regularly. The most I've ever made in a month on YouTube was $850 back in June 2023 when my Camino Frances documentary first got picked up by the algorithm. I think it got like 100,000 views. So yeah, $850, that's already much more than short-term disability pays out. So I'm about to go in on some content. In the past, I've taken things way too seriously and been a little too precious about how I present myself online. But at this point, in this economy, with the physical limitations I have now, I just can't afford to do that anymore. My next door neighbor of 6 years, 5 or 6 years, he was just evicted a month ago because he had lost his job like a year and a half ago and couldn't find work and stopped paying rent. He hadn't paid rent in a really long time, and so he left. I refuse to be next. The authorities will have to drag me out of here kicking and screaming. I'm not leaving this apartment. I'd love to hear suggestions from you guys if there's anything you'd like to see, preferably something I can do from home. I actually have a lot of ideas. I think there are a lot of things I could make. And now I can move around a bit easier too. I can explore a little bit. If this doesn't work out, I can always sell feet pics. I'm sure there's someone out there with a broken foot fetish, right? Ow, my leg's falling asleep. If you'd like to help out in this weird time, I do have a Patreon where I upload exclusive content, stuff that only goes there, and I plan on doing much more of that. You'll also be listed in the credits of all of my videos as a thank you. Thank you all so much for still being here and not unsubscribing. Even though I haven't made a video or like walked a Camino in a really long time. I won't be able to walk a Camino for a little while. I would like to do one once this heals. That would be like a nice comeback story. Maybe in the springtime, I could do the Norte or something. We'll see. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I gotta say, the amount of support I've experienced throughout this whole ordeal has been kind of mind-blowing. My friends came through for me in a way that I just like didn't expect. I don't know why. I always knew that I had a strong community in New York, but it's one thing to like know something as an idea or like to know something in theory, but then to see it put to practice is a totally different thing. Like I had an idea that I had, you know, a bunch of friends here who kind of care about me, but I didn't like fully register how much an amount of people like really cared about me until they like stepped up and like really cared for me in a time that I couldn't care for myself. I had friends go grocery shopping for me, cook meals for me, clean for me, take out my trash and recycling, carry up heavy boxes of like cat litter and cat food up 4 flights of stairs. Like these are things I would never in a million years ask for help with normally, but because I like had no choice in this situation, I just had to accept help. And it was a very strange experience. Like it made me really uncomfortable at first because I'm a independent woman. Like I'm used to doing everything by myself. I've lived alone for a while now. I'm very proud of it. I was also just like raised to not really ask for help, but I think that like deep set individuality is a huge source of a lot of the problems we're having in America right now. I just am so grateful for community. Community is absolutely everything, and I just feel, yeah, really grateful, and I feel really like held and seen. That is so cheesy and cringe, but that feeling like made this experience fun. This would or like should have been a very miserable experience, being completely off my feet for 6 weeks and being stuck in my apartment because, by the way, I don't have an elevator in my building. I only have 4 flights of stairs and I'm at the top of a 4-floor walk up. I was concerned at first that I would lose my mind up here, but I have people coming over all the time, helping me all the time. People are so willing to step up for each other, and I think we just don't often like give each other the opportunity to. I guess I'm grateful that I had this experience to feel that, because I feel very like comforted by my sense of community. So I feel extra motivated more than ever to grow community in general, especially in these dark times. It is dark. It is dark out there. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for still being here. I plan on uploading at least once a week. I'm gonna shoot for twice a week just because like what else do I have to do? But at least once a week. So get ready to see more of me.
Fuck my